What's up, Vetters? Patrick here with Vetted. I have an amazing story to tell you. So, did you know that 10 days before John F. Kennedy was assassinated on November 22nd, 1963, on November 12th, 1963, he wrote a memo, right, to the director of the CIA asking for information about UFOs. That's right. That is true. So, let's take a look at this. And some people speculate maybe that's why he was taken out. So let's look at this memo here, right? Because there's all this, all the JFK files being released and everything, right? Which, stay with me on that, because I've got an interesting connection that may be, I don't know. Let's just get into this. Let's read this memo first, right? So we've got top secret, November 12th, 1963, memorandum for the Director of Central Intelligence Agency, subject, classification review of all UFO intelligence files affecting national security. And this is from John F. Kennedy. As I had discussed with you previously, I have initiated, redacted, and have instructed James Webb to develop a program with the Soviet Union in joint space and lunar exploration. It would be very helpful if you would have the high threat cases reviewed with the purpose of identification of bona fide, opposed to classified CIA and United States Air Force sources. It is important that we make a clear distinction between the knowns and unknowns in the event the Soviets try to mistake our extended cooperation as a cover for intelligence gathering of their defense and space programs. When this data has been sorted out, I would like to arrange a program of data sharing with NASA where unknowns are a factor. This will help NASA mission directors in their defensive responsibilities. I would like an interim report on the data review no later than February 1st, 1964. And, well, he never got that data report, right? That interim report. Did that even happen? Right? And then he says, as I discussed with you previously at the beginning of it, so meaning right up here. So he must have talked about this before, but this memo, right? 10 days, y'all, 10 days before he is taken out in Dallas, which is where I'm at. I've been to that location where he was assassinated many times. I grew up in Dallas. I used to live right down the street from it. I could see it from my window, the spot. At least close to it, Daily Plaza, all that. I'm very familiar, and this is very interesting, right? This is identifying for a fact, this memo identifies for a fact that there are UFOs. There are unidentified things flying around that neither the Soviets nor the Americans knew what they were back in this day, right? Back before we had things flying around, but not like we do today. So this is fascinating to me, right? That there were unknowns, and they wanted to separate those unknowns and have some sort of program or report about it, right? I'm just saying, this is fascinating, y'all. This is fascinating. And let's keep going. Because this was just released in the JFK files that got dumped, right? You've heard about this story, all the files getting dumped, right? This is from July 19th, 1967. Subject, Ramparts. John Garrett Underhill Jr., Samuel George Cummings, and Inter Armco. Number 1, Ramparts of June 67, Volume 5, Number 12, pages 28 through 29, contains the following passages about subjects, right? The day after the assassination, right? So the 23rd of November, 1963, Gary Underhill left Washington in a hurry. Late in the evening, he showed up at the home of friends in New Jersey. He was very agitated. A small clique within the CIA was responsible for the assassination, he confided, and he was afraid for his life and probably would have to leave the country. Less than 6 months later, Underhill was found shot to death in his Washington apartment. The coroner ruled it suicide. Now, remember, let's keep reading, actually. Let's finish this. J. Garrett Underhill had been an intelligence agent during World War II and was a recognized authority on limited warfare and small arms, a researcher and writer on military affairs. He was on a first-name basis with many of the top brass in the Pentagon. He was also on intimate terms with a number of high-ranking CIA officials. He was one of the agency's people who performed special assignments. At one time, he had been a friend of Samuel Cummings of Armco, the arms broker that numbers among its customers the CIA, and ironically, Klein Sporting Goods of Chicago, from whence the mail order Carsano allegedly was purchased by Oswald. I probably got that wrong, but the type of gun he used, right? So that, okay. So again, this just got released, right? So you have a CIA guy, right after the assassination, confiding that a small clique within the CIA actually was the one who killed JFK, and then 6 months later, he's dead from a bullet wound, self-inflicted, allegedly. Okay. And then the same arms broker that supplies the CIA is the same one that supplies the store where Oswald got his gun. Now, I'm going to ask for your help. Okay? I did a little bit of digging, but I couldn't find anything. Basically, what I did is, because of that earlier memo I just showed you, right, with JFK asking for UFO information, I did a search for John Garrett Underhill Jr. and UFOs, UAPs. I couldn't find anything, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist. And if we are to believe that JFK was assassinated because of what he was about to uncover with UFOs, right, then there might be a connection between some sort of UFOs event or something, right, pertaining to UFOs, UAP, and John Garrett Underhill Jr. So I ask you, vetters, get on it. Start searching. Again, dive deep. I tried to look a little bit, but I can't spend that much time as many as you can put together, right? So this is a vetted case. We can all work together. So that's my suggestion. Look for connections between John Garrett Underhill Jr. and UFOs, right? And also Samuel George Cummings and UFOs, and Armco and UFOs, right? Any of these ramparts here, any of these subjects up here and UFOs, if that's connected, that would be so fascinating and interesting, right? That would lead more credence to potentially why JFK was assassinated, if it did have to do with UFOs. What if we find out Garrett Underhill Jr. has some connection to UFOs? Then it gets even weirder, right? So that's where I'm at, right? So anyway, let's get at it, y'all. Let's see what we can find. But, I don't know, y'all, right? There's always been that theory out there that the CIA was involved with JFK's assassination, and this doesn't look good, right? I'm sure more documents will continue to come out. They've been, quote unquote, released, but there's still more papers to scan. There's still more papers to look through. There's a lot to do, right? Even though there's tens of thousands, over 100,000 files, it's a lot to go through. So again, get on it, y'all. Let's find some connections between John Garrett Underhill Jr., UFOs. Maybe we can connect that to JFK and that memo he sent, because that's real. That memo that JFK sent is real about UFOs to the CIA. You see all the connections here? I'm not one for conspiracies. I'm just saying this is weird, right? I'm not one for conspiracies. Listen to me. You run a UFO podcast, Patrick. You live in conspiracy land. You're right. But you guys know me. I'm pretty skeptical about a lot of things. I cover things, but that doesn't mean I believe them, right? This is super interesting. Something happened on that day. I've always thought that, and so many people have, right? On November 22nd, 1963, something happened behind the death of JFK, right? It's not just the simple story of Oswald working alone, just decided. I don't think so. The CIA is definitely involved, and if he sends that memo about UFOs and whatever, I mean, that could be a reason to 10 days later take him out. I don't know. I'm not trying to connect dots that aren't there, but this is interesting, right? So get on it, vetters. We'll see what we can uncover. Yeah, I'll put links in the description. Go check it out for yourself. See what you can find. Comment down below, put some links. You can put it all there. Join our Discord, link in the description. You can join for free. You can put the information there. We got a whole channel dedicated to it. Tons of people are looking into it. So let's see what we can find, y'all. All right. Remember, every day's a gift, y'all. Peace.